Recently, an unnamed school in England has, expressing sentiments similar to those of our friend Mr. Rees here, labelled the online movement of Gamergate an extremist group, which can be mentioned in the same breath as that of the Islamic State.
Say, you all didn't happen to do a bunch of drugs, did you?
It certainly seems like it, because this was a handout distributed to students of the school in question entitled Social Media and Illegal Extremist Activity. There are a number of groups that use social media to attract new members and radicalize them so they become involved in extremist, often illegal activity. Below are some examples. So we don't want you anywhere near these things, right? But here's a list of them. I'm already annoyed at the stupidity, right? But it gets worse, because after listing ISIS and the English Defence League, we get to Gamergate, and the dictionary definition of this hashtag, according to these people, is an online group that harasses women, often with threats of violence or death, who complain about sexism in the games industry.
That is a very serious accusation, Potter.
Indeed. Your evidence?
I just know.
You just know.
Well, they certainly don't provide any, so I thought I'd look for it, because the confidence with which they state their definition leads me to believe that it should be fairly easy to find. But where do we look? Gamergate is not an organisation. It doesn't have a headquarters or a list of board members. What it's got is a hashtag and a number of individuals who've become fairly famous for associating themselves with the movement. For instance, we have 6 of some of the better known ones here, and I have to say, at first glance, they don't look that dangerous. They don't strike me as serial harassers.
Your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them.
Fair point. Well, what if we look at some of their views with regards to Gamergate then? Because surely there we'll find this deep-rooted misogyny and incitement to harassment, right?
The gamers were invaded by what they call social justice warriors, cultural authoritarians, liberal arts majors from Oberlin College, people like that, apparently wanted to take what they'd learned in their gender seminars into the world of video games. The gamers were not happy. Many of them were not. They organized around a number of issues. They felt a lot of corruption in the video media, and as well as just imposing. They found that the gamer journalists, many of the leading websites for gamers, were imposing this social justice agenda on their games and telling them they were sexist and racist and homophobic. It was so unfair. Games are so diverse, and the gamers, they know their world, and they knew this was a caricature, so they fought back. I was very impressed because I have never seen anyone sort of successfully push back. And they would then, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of the sort of mainstream media would describe them as a horde of misogynists, threatening women, and it was not true. And each time there would be a bad media write-up, I would think, oh, well, that's the end of Gamergate. No, it would grow because more gamers were incensed by the injustice.
Well, I'm a little confused now because she seemed really fucking reasonable. Calm, polite, and intelligent. But what about Milo Yiannopoulos? Maybe he's the jihadi John of Gamergate. Yeah, I'm sure he is.
So Gamergate, ordinary gamers have put up for 10 years or more with their own press calling them man babies and misogynists, beating up on them basically because it's the trendy thing to do. Because these days progressivism and sort of hating on men, that kill all white men, kind of these feminist hashtags
We're going to get to that too.
Are socially acceptable. I mean, you will get no social censure from your peers as a member of the media today for tweeting one of those hashtags. Now, obviously, if you did it the other way around, it would be a problem. That's become fashionable. It's become trendy for white guilt, right? White middle class guilt. It's become fashionable for these people to beat up on themselves, prostrate themselves before the altar of womanhood, and say that everything that they are and everything that they do is terrible. I'm so sorry, Mother Gaia. How can I make it up to you? The reality is that actually these video games are quite good for people.
So that's the crux of it. Then it's these people. It's the gaming community that
has risen up because it is tired of being lied about and slandered by its own press.
Yeah.
The press that did a really good job of defending it when the violent stuff was going on. When Jack Thompson in the 90s was saying video games can make you violent, the press did a really good job of rebutting him because he was conservative. But when a liberal, when a progressive critic comes along, they fall over themselves to agree and start hating on their own audiences.
Right.
Sorry, Milo, aren't you going off script a bit, mate? Don't you mean... Well, I have to say, guys, that the mullahs of Gamergate are really letting us down here, because not only do they not seem to be interested in harassment, rather conversely, they seem to be preoccupied with resisting a repressive authoritarian narrative that's being enforced on the gaming community from both outside and in. Let's take a look at the hashtag. Now, obviously, I can't go through every single tweet that uses the hashtag Gamergate or perform background checks on everybody associated with it. But again, if this movement, if this group is centered around harassment, it should be rife with the stuff. All of these tweets were taken from within an hour of making this video. Jack Barnes says, just because you say Gamergate is hate group doesn't mean it's true. I've seen no evidence that they are a hate group. Henry Clay, compared to the KKK, I wonder how many lynchings Gamergate has done. It'll be 461 this Sunday, I think, Henry.
Didn't you get the memo?
And hashtag Gamergate says, therefore, logically, if the majority of Gamergate supports women who are feminists, Gamergate does not have an issue with feminism. And obviously this is only a tiny, tiny sample, but go and look at the hashtag for yourself. Do your own research and see if you can find these hordes of harassers and misogynists. But I'm telling you, you might as well try and win a Nobel Prize. It'll be easier than finding groups of people using the hashtag systematically for the purpose of harassing women. But it gets even more embarrassing for the authors of these handouts. Check this out.
These threats have been no way proven to have come from Gamergate. Gamergate is not responsible for them, and people like Margaret Gell, who specifically run something called the Gamergate Harassment Patrol, to specifically police the movement, because we do not want to be misrepresented in this way by the media or the people who are being featured in the media. This is highly unfair to people in Gamergate. It's incredibly one-sided.
Certain individuals within the movement are so concerned that the group will be hijacked by the odd troll and the hashtag will be used for nefarious purposes that they actively police it to prevent harassment. Worryingly, the school that issued this handout seems to be getting their information from government sources. But where are they getting their information from? And why won't they disclose it? I think they're full of shit. And I would submit that either they are drafting and pushing this narrative for some kind of cynical political purpose, or they're just too fucking lazy to perform their due diligence on this. Now, I'm happy to be proven wrong here. If they want to come forth with some evidence, or they want to come forth with a retraction and say, sorry guys, innocent mistake, that's one thing. But until they do either of those things, this handout is fucking slander. It's libel, which is actually illegal in the United Kingdom, by the way. So I don't know if some of these individuals that we discussed earlier who've associated parts of their career with this movement, whether or not they feel as though their character has been defamed enough to warrant legal action. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even know if that's possible, right? But maybe it's worth looking into, because maybe that's the only way that certain journalists and the media and the government, for fuck's sake, are going to get it through their thick skulls that they can't go around hurling shit and accusations of harassment at people. This is not just me, is it? If one good thing has come out of this whole mess, it is that a lot of young people have been educated to the reality that those in positions of authority and influence can be just as lazy, just as incompetent, and just as corrupt as those who are not. And it is silly, naive, nay, dangerous to assume they always have your best interests at heart.